Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak, and remember, for this conversation, you can weigh in via SMS line 22422, and the hashtag is Daybreak. It's all about the state of the nation this morning. Remember, yesterday, concerns raised about political intolerance in the run-up to the 2022 election after Deputy President William Ruto's motorcade was stoned in Kisumu during his campaigns. What was that all about? What are the implications? We'll be looking at that with my guests. In addition, IEBC, they registered 1.5 million new voters in the just concluded exercise. But of course, the big question is, who are the winners and losers in the 2022 numbers game? That's what my guests here in studio, and one joining us virtually, will help us to go through. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Alfred Mutua, Governor Machakos, joining us here in studio. Karibu sana. Together with Senator Kimani wa Matangi, karibu as well.
Thank you.
We also have Boni Halwale, former Senator Kakamega. Welcome to the program.
Asante sana.
And joining us virtually is Pamela Odhiambo, woman rep from Migori, and there she is. She'll also be talking with us as well.
Good morning, viewers.
Great. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you for joining us, Mheshimiwa.
She's on the road.
It appears so. Boni Halwale wants to know where she is. It seems so. Let's get into it. However, we also, what happened yesterday, those pictures have been replayed everywhere, social media and TV as well. I want to get a sense from each of my guests and give them a chance to respond as politicians on what they saw there and what the possible implications are. Boni Halwale, let me start with you on that. You were very vocal yesterday online on the same. What is your reading and your concerns about what happened yesterday in Kondele?
We have repeatedly said that we must change the conversation in this country so that going forward, elections are informed by issues. And we have consistently said we would like our children to cast their vote where their future is. Their future is surely not in violence. Their future is surely not in tribalism. Their future is where they get jobs, and the few are not lucky to get jobs, they get easy access to affordable credit. That's the future of this country. So when you see clearly the police officer sits and he sees the Orange Democratic Movement mobilizing youth,
is that what you saw yesterday?
Yes, it is here. It is reported here, and the best clip came from a media house.
Wait, which one? I
have it here. I'll refer to it. So then the police watches that. The mobilization is going on. The people who are leading the mobilization are actually employees of the county government of Kisumu. Now, immediately the violence happens. Even before the policeman does a single minute of investigation, he releases a comprehensive statement on what he wants Kenyans to believe that took place. That kind of incompetence should not be tolerated at all on the part of the police. Number two, because the county government of Kisumu employees were involved.
Have you reported this anywhere? These are very strong allegations you're making.
It is what is emerging from the coverage, both in the mainstream media and also on social media.
We do not have such proof from our teams.
You should be more aggressive in looking for news.
We are very aggressive in looking for news, Dr. Halwale.
So what it means is that this was choreography, something that was worked out clearly. There was an assurance that the police will look the other side if things start looking a bit funny and so on. And the best we can do, and I want to thank my good brother Ongwen. Ongwen, I think, is the executive director of the ODM. Mm-hmm. He came out very well on at news time at 7. That whether it is through connivance with his party or without, it is something which must be condemned. But he is too low the ladder. The person who should have condemned that violence is none other than the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. He should have condemned it.
Okay, that's your opening statement. I see on the front page of the Standard, Raila calls for political tolerance. I don't know if it's linked with that particular incident or it was a general comment. But let me allow Dr. Alfred Mutua to weigh in on that as well. Of course, none of us were in Kisumu yesterday, but you followed what happened there. What are your thoughts as we get closer and closer to that election?
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be back. It's good to see Dr. Boni Alwale. He's now a fixed feature here. We're very, very happy to have you, and my running mate, Dr. Matangi. It's good to be back at a plus 254. And I want to say jambo to all our viewers and listeners from all over the world, saying it's always good to praise the Lord and remember that we are not here because of ourselves. And in that line, I was reading a quote by Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela says that no one is born hating another person because of the color of their skin, or the person's background or religion, or quote-unquote tribalism. People are taught to hate. People learn to hate. And if they can be taught to hate, they can be taught to love. Because love comes more naturally to the human heart than the opposite. He's talking about tolerance here. And I spent a few hours yesterday with Raila Odinga to go back to the country. And I could see he was very, very agitated by what happened in Kisumu. And I can declare here from my knowledge of what was talking to him and others, that this was not sanctioned by Raila Odinga. This was not sanctioned by his party, or so this was not sanctioned by his people. Because when this violence happens, this type of intolerance happens of ideology, it makes him look bad, because that's his home ground. And as a presidential candidate, it makes him look bad. And I told him, myself, as a presidential candidate, I want to be able to go to everywhere in this country where people listen. And, in the US, they have a saying that says that I may not agree with you, but I'll fight to my death for you to have a right to express your opinion. And that's how it should be in our country. So I've had my friend, Dr. Alwale, say it was organized. I don't know about it being organized, or whether it was sporadic, or whatever it was, or who organized it, thinking they're helping. But we need to be a country whereby a leader can go to a place, to a village, to a town and speak. If you do not like what that person says, if you don't like their ideology, if you don't like what they're doing, then just walk away and go away. Rubbish them, walk out, or listen and go away. But you see, this culture of being intolerant is not good. Now, the other thing that you need to note is this, and this is something that some of these politicians are doing, especially the party affiliated with Boni Alwale. And that is fairing people. There's this culture of fairing people. And we've seen it. People are given yellow T-shirts or orange T-shirts or whatever T-shirts, and then they are ferried. So when you see crowds of pictures...
You have proof that they are ferried?
Yeah, they are ferried. They are ferried. We've studied, we've seen the same people. Unaona huyu jamaa na hawa group ndio hawa wako kwa hii rally, from the same village, but they are ferried from town to town. And wanajazana hapa mbele, it makes them look like it's a bigger crowd. Let's have spontaneous politics where you go somewhere and you're talking to 5 people, but those people believe in you. Stop ferrying people. Because when you start ferrying people, there's the issue of paying people. Because there's a lot of payment that is going on. Watu wanapewa pesa sana wakuja hizi rallies, and there's a lot of mvutano back and forth. Let us get the money out of the politics. Wacha watu wakusikize, wamalize, waende. Because it becomes a problem. And so the reports I was getting last night, there was also some form of problems in terms of money also. People are giving money, others say they're not giving money, all that. But may as it be, or as the expression may go, it's sad. It was not a good day for Kenya to see Deputy President William Ruto's convoy being stoned. It is improper. Whether you are paid to stone it, whether you whatever, let William Ruto come, sing, tell his stories, talk about his philosophies or whatever he's talking about, and go back to wherever he came from if you don't like him. But do not go out and engage in violence. We've had enough violence in this country to last us centuries. So we need to have peaceful coexistence. But that brings to the point of looking at the presidential candidates. And I'm speaking from a presidential candidate perspective. Look at the presidential candidates and ask ourselves, is it time for change? Is it time for a fresh start in this country where we don't have people who cause so much inflammation and, and bile that there'll be violence. Maybe it's time for a softer approach.
Okay.
Softer life works better at times for people.
I don't know if you're selling yourself and you're running mid. Let me speak to Senator Matangi here. Senator, even as I give you a chance to comment on the violence that we saw, it's not just there that we've started seeing violence.
Right.
Gubernatorial candidates, some of them even from the same party, we're beginning to see their supporters burn vehicles and so to speak. Right. And we're not yet in 2022. There are concerns that as a country, we've gone a long way democratically, but somehow in the run-up to an election, we almost go back to the Stone Age season, so for lack of a better expression. Why?
Wahiga, I think, good morning first.
Good morning to you too.
I came in and I didn't say good morning to you. Let me also say good morning to our viewers. And Wahiga, I think it's like we're thinking the same thing with the comments that you made. But let me first take the opportunity to welcome my running mate back home. We've not had an opportunity to speak, and neither have I briefed you.
Yes. We've not compared notes.
On what was happening when you were away. Yeah. But we'll get time to talk. Of course, Wahiga, I could respond to this in the usual way, because every time when this kind of incident happens, the response is usual. It's normal. It's already known. It's denial. And if I'm commenting, I'll be saying that in normalcy, that violence should not be used as a tool. Those are cliches and taglines that we have heard over and over again. And for every person who will be commenting on this, Wahiga, I can assure you that that's what you're going to hear all the way through. And you already started hearing it from yesterday, that, we must condemn violence, it shouldn't happen. But I think critically, and that...
Do you think some of them are not being sincere? Alluding to it, but you're not hitting on the head.
That's what I'm coming to, because that's why I said I think we are thinking the same way. Because we have to call things the way they are. And I think no one is innocent in this thing, if you ask me, Wahiga, because we have all agreed to pay lip service to the use of violence during elections. And we have not seen anything yet, if you ask me. There will still be a lot of it. And that's why when you made that comment, that we are not yet in 2022, and you can see what is happening. It's going to happen. But ask yourself, Wahiga, this is not the first time. There was a time when the Deputy President's convoy was stoned a few weeks ago in Busia. Suffice it to say a few guys were arrested and taken to court. But if generally you look at our history, you'd be asking, would you be expecting anything different? Because violence has been used successfully as a tool. And there has been no consequences. When I say no one is innocent, if you take, for example, assume that this violence occurs in the background of a popular politician, and as alleged, that violence is sponsored by that politician. Remember, there was a time, I think the Deputy President was also in Nyeri. There were some incidents where, his convoy was being interrupted. Remember, in the Deputy President's backyard himself, sometimes in Nandi, there was a time Gideon Moi, I think, tried to go to some occasion somewhere, and he was barred early in the morning by guys, who are armed, and they couldn't move. There was a time Raila Odinga himself has been a victim. And you'd ask yourself, from our history, Wahiga, why indeed would we express surprise? Because it's a trade tool in this profession that we have agreed to deal with. Why I say that with conviction is I'm asking myself, for example, even when violence has cost us so much, all of us, universally in the country, for example, like in the 2007-2008 elections, ask yourself what closure was ever brought to that matter. How many people were convicted today that you would name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who were convicted? Which persons have ever, Wahiga, been barred from running in an election because they were involved in violence? And you'd ask yourself, all the way from 1992, 1997, 2002, 07 at its peak, continuously the last elections, when this has continued to happen, is it sincere that you would say that there have never been at least 1, 2, 3, 4 people whom you would say these people are culprits and they have been made to face the law such that it becomes dissuasive for other people to engage in this kind of violence? So, you know, what it's known out there in the marketplace is this, that this you can employ, you can use, succeed with it, and get away with it. If you look at, for example, the Commission on Cohesion, what important and probably effective consequence have emitted out on anyone? And so that's what I would be saying, Wahiga, finally, all in all. One may complain. I could complain from Kiambu because somebody came and caused violence in a ward where I wanted to go and campaign. At the end of the day, that doesn't change the landscape because it is already in our DNA that violence is part of our electioneering until such a time when you find that the people given the responsibility to make sure that people are punished for using violence, then people, the young men out in the street will change their minds. But otherwise, as it is right now, you just expect in a few days when Boni Halwale goes to Kakamega, his rival is going to employ people to do that. And hopefully, when they come to his backyard, he will not do the same.
The consequences question, I think, is a...
But my point is just simple, that we have, and every time when I remember the 2007-2008 case, Wahiga, it worries me that we have left such a big gaping hole in that history, where we never brought closure, and it is likely that it will recur again because people already know that there are no consequences whatever you do.
Well, we certainly hope not, but you do raise fundamental questions that we must continue discussing. Let me now bring in Dr. Pamela Odhiambo, Woman Rep Migori, and there she is. Daktari, I hope you can hear me. My guests in studio have given their views on what happened yesterday, widely condemning violence, although Senator Wamatangi tells us politicians always condemn, but, the acts somehow keep happening. Let me get your view on what happened yesterday. And I know the Deputy President is still in the Nyanza region today. I don't know if he'll visit your county, and some of his supporters might be worried about what might happen today. Let's get your thoughts. I believe you're on mute, Dr. Odhiambo. Do you mind just unmuting?
Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maigwa, and good morning, Kenya, and especially to my viewers, the governor of my governor Mutua, Wamatangi, who is my senator, and Dr. Alwale. Good morning to all of you. I think what I saw in Kisumu yesterday, that part of violence was not interesting, whatever caused it. But I think by and large, I must say that the people of Nyanza welcomed the deputy president peacefully, save for the case of that Kondele. And it is important to note that it is not only Kondele that he visited yesterday. However, I think colleagues have said that actually the issue of violence is not welcome on anyone for whatever reason. But what is interesting about this whole thing yesterday, I think your own reporter who gave us this news said that the chaos, according to his investigations there on the ground, I was not there myself, he said that the disagreement, according to what he was gathering from the ground, was caused by the wrangles or the disagreement, to use his word, between Ruto's youths that were responsible for organizing for the logistics, and there was some money given to them. And it appears like this money, somebody disappeared with it, or it was not given at all. And in fact, I think I had a clip where the DP himself was announcing that he brought with him over 2 million. And one wonders, why would he bring this 2 million in just a ziyara like the one he did yesterday? What was it for? And where was it coming from? And did he ensure that whoever was intended to get this 2 million got it? And so when there are money issues involved and somebody wants to blame somebody else, I don't think this is being fair. Like you heard my party leader say that he's not happy about that incident. He's calling for tolerance. And I think this is our position, all of us. Last week, part one, or about 2 weeks ago, I myself, together with my party leader, we were in Mount Kenya, and we have been going around crisscrossing this country, and we expect peace. And this is why we have been calling for Azimio la Umoja and tolerance, love, and unity. And I don't think there is anybody who is on our side as ODMers, as you rightly put it, that this is our stronghold. All of us, even me yesterday, I was on radio in the morning, and I was telling my team, my ODM people, let us be calm, let us be peaceful, let us hear what each leader has to say. Even ourselves, we are looking positions among ourselves. Like myself, I'm going for the governorship. I know my senator wants to be a governor, and many other people in the county. And all of us, actually most of us, are ODM members, and we are calling for peace. So, to say the least, Maigwa, we want peace in this country. It is high time we trained our people to stop associating our presentations of our ideas, our manifesto, and our development agenda for our leadership quest on money. Let us stop giving our people a reason to riot and get angry at each other and start fighting.
Okay.
Something else that stood out in the reports that
briefly,
I had
please.
yesterday is also that the policeman who actually was found with the tear gas canisters is one who is not even stationed in any of the stations in Kisumu. So one wonders, why was he there? And what was he doing with these canisters? I think what I read from all this is an inside orchestration of this violence to seek sympathy from either the people in Kisumu or the entire nation, that the Luos are intolerant and violent. I don't think the Luos are intolerant and violent.
Okay.
Violent.
Okay.
I want us to really respect the space of everyone, and at the same time, those of us, including the presidential candidates, who happen to have a lot of money to be dishing out at that magnitude, to kind of respect the Wananchi and just go there, talk to the Wananchi, and go away and in peace.
Okay.
And I think the Wananchi are ready to listen, and the time for election is next year. We are not electing today, so let us not charge our crowds unnecessarily.
Dr. Odhiambo, thank you so much for that. But just to clarify, our reporter did not do any investigation. They simply obviously quoted the police on that statement, questioning, of course, the campaign mobilization funds that the police claim youth groups were fighting over. And I want to get a reaction. Dr. Alwale, I know you're not the spokesperson of the Deputy President, but there are two things.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Dr. Odhiambo. Dr. Alwale, I want to get your clarification on this. One, the amount of 2 million that we did hear the Deputy President pledging to border riders. I don't know how many there were. I don't know how the money would be shared. But secondly, this whole issue of campaign logistics funds. And I know it's something you all know a thing or two about, because you are on the campaign trail, all of you, I believe. Just help us understand how the dishing out of that could lead to possible fracas, as claimed by the police, as seen in that police statement.
I've already made my comments about that unfortunate, incompetent police statement. But so that I am respected for what I am saying, at 12:42 p.m. yesterday, the Star newspaper posted a footage where they told us that pro-Raila youth chanting ODM party slogans ahead of Deputy President Ruto's arrival in Kondele where he's scheduled to have a meeting with the youth. And during the break, I'll allow you to look at it, and if you feel it is necessary, you can then play it to the public. That is from the Star newspaper reporting. The footage is here. It is 2 minutes, 17 seconds long.
How can we confirm that those same youth were then the ones involved in the...
Because it is, you will see it. You'll make that decision during the break. You can't play it unless you have...
Unless we've looked and verified.
Yes, it is. Now...
Talk to me about funding when people out on campaigns.
The issue of the money, it's so well known to me, I need not be the spokesperson of the deputy president, because he even was in Kakamega County and Bungoma County, where I was part of the organizing committee members. And just like he said yesterday, when he comes, he would like to empower the small business people. He goes to Mama Mbogas. Principally, it has been Mama Mbogas and Boda Bodas. And there is no money before the rally. There is money after the rally. So that what happens is he will then speak. At the end of the speech, he then informs the people at that market that the Mama Mbogas of this market, such and such a woman, will organize you when we are gone. You cannot distribute money in that crowd. Let me give you an example.
And you'll tell us about where's that money from? Is that you fundraise as a party?
I'll come to that.
Okay.
I'll come to that. So let me give just, for example, an example in Kakamega. Our woman leader, who is aspiring to be MP, to be county MP, called Hadija Nganyi.
County MP, you mean
yes.
Governor?
No, she wants to be woman MP.
Woman MP?
Yes, woman MP. And because we were empowering Mama Mbogas, prior to this meeting, she held meetings with Mama Mbogas of Kakamega Town. And this template applies everywhere. Then they identify the beneficiaries, and then once we leave, 1 day, 2 days later, when things are quiet, then these women who have been seen are empowered in the range of 2,000 to 5,000 shillings per person. That makes a huge difference to Mama Mboga, huge. Boda Boda, 1,000, huge difference to Boda Boda, because if you can fuel that bike for 1,000 bob, he can carry quite a lot of people. So the issue of logistics is not in play. The money the deputy president was speaking to was what then would be available. Like what he gave in Kisumu might be available today or tomorrow, depending on how the person who was given the responsibility is going to handle it. Your second question is where does the money come from?
And how sustainable is this long term?
Where does the money come from? I want you to ask me. I want you to ask Matangi, you ask Dr. Alfred, the money you use for organizing your campaign, where do you get it from? But a question like that must be given to the deputy president.
Okay, so
yes. He is the one who is going to...
You're campaigning, right?
Yes, yes.
If you're dishing out that kind of... where will your money come from?
From your own income. By the time you have matured enough to reach my age, and to reach the experience I have in politics, you have your way of making money which you use on your family and also to do your politics. There is no politics without expenditure. If anybody told you that there was politics without expenditure, IEBC would not be going all out to put limits that we want in such and such a county for this amount of money to be spent. So money must be spent in a political function, including the money you use to give. For example, if women are coming to attend a function at the headquarters in Kakamega Town, and they have come from as far as Moisbridge, as far as Siaya, which is hundreds of kilometers away from Kakamega Town, you have to be mindful of how they'll go back. So you give them a reimbursement for the cost of travel. You will have to do some refreshment for them when they are doing your meeting. So you must spend money in politics.
I want to give Dr. Mutua, you asked him a question.
Yeah.
He says he's a presidential aspirant.
Where?
Where are you going to get the money from, Dr. Mutua? Here, 1,000 for Boda Boda, 2,500 for Mama Mboga. How long
It is,
can you do that for?
No, it's a very good question. It's a very good question. I've seen that my friend Dr. Alwale has tried to meander around. And, I've not really given an answer. It's anashika na gloves kwa mbali. Akiachilia. Because he's a survivor. He's smart that way. You know, the problem I have, and you asked the question about sustainability, is there's a difference between empowering and bribing. And what is going on with some of these charades and giving of money to all these groups, everything, is tantamount to bribing, not empowering. Because it's happening in every small town. So these are not people organized to come for meetings. You go to a rally, then after that you're giving money out. You're basically bribing people. And you're bribing people because it's an experiment they started doing during the Kibera election, by-election, whereby you bribe groups, you bribe people so they can stay with you and people feel like umewapatia kitu, so they'll vote for you. It is not empowering, because the empowering system has to be sustainable. And this thing of giving people money for free doesn't work. I mean, we'll be talking about Fuliza in a few minutes. You know, if you look at the Fuliza thing, there's an interest rate of 1.18% or whatever it is. The interest rate, you're given money, you return. There's a difference between table banking and just handing out, dishing out money, which is bribing, because you're giving people money so they can support you, and you call it empowerment. But where will the money come from tomorrow? Somebody said, you know, and that's the difference between our politics and the politics of developed nations. I would rather myself give people empowerment and teach them how to fish than just give them the fish. Wanakula leo, kesho watakula nini? So one candidate goes there today, you give 1,000 shillings. Another candidate goes there tomorrow, gives 1,000 shillings. Another gives unakula inaisha. Because there is no program for it. Yes, it is good. I'm not saying it's bad money ukipewa. It's good, and see the borders, mambogas are given. They're very happy to be given that money. Now, there's a difference between when you're holding a fixed meeting, and that is the one that Dr. Alalo was talking about, whereby you've got people who have been invited officially to a meeting, and whereby they are reimbursed. Even organizations do that when they call for conferences. You're given a reimbursement to be able to go back home. But it's another thing to go and say, I have 2 million mwaletea. You may have 5 million mwaletea. Which brings up to the question you asked, which has not been really answered. Where is all this money coming from? All the dishing of this money coming to billions of shillings, imetoka wapi? Hii pesa imetoka wapi? And we have to question, because if the person dishing that money has been holding public office, there's a sense of accountability about the source of the funds. So we'd like to get a spreadsheet and ask Boni Halwale to go talk to his friend, give us a spreadsheet showing us the amount of money that has been dished out and the source of that money. Is it from private bank accounts? Ama ni pesa imewekwa mahali kwa basement ambayo ilitolewa hapa from bribes that are offered? Because the accusation is that people have been given bribes over the years, trading in government for contracts and others. Unajua tender na kutender. You know, so they have been given bribes, and they're using those bribes for politics. These are the accusations that are out there. And so it's about time. And I think there's one man in this country who must really be fed up with accusations of corruption, and that is DP William Ruto. Akiamka asubuhi anaambizwa, akiamka asubuhi anaulizwa, Mutua anamuuliza, Uhuru anamuuliza, Ruto anamuuliza, kila mtu anamuuliza, pesa umetoa wapi? So if I was William Ruto, I would give a spreadsheet. Niseme, mimi, because we know how much money he's been dishing out.
He says a lifestyle audit of his has been done by everyone.
Yes, but
he says it was done by government, it was done by media. So he says he has declared everything.
He's not declared.
He's asking about wealth of others now.
Wacha sasa atuambie spreadsheet ni hii. From watu wamekuwa kihesabu. From the day he started his politics, going to churches, giving whatever, amepeana maybe 3.5 billion shillings. Hii 3.5 billion shillings, a draw line. Unajua accounting wanafanyanga ile line ya kutoa, hii ilitoka hapa, hii ilitoka hapa, ilitoka hapa, kampuni zangu ni hizi, ilitoka hapa. We're not talking about assets here, we're about hard currency cash. Hard currency cash. And it is funny because I remember when the governor of the central bank snookered, using, Uhuru, I think, applied this, snookered Kenyans and said that kutoka tarehe hii wale wako na pesa zile mzee, noti mzee, zitakuwa zime-expire. And we saw groups of people from the DP's background, wachungaji, wakiambia DP, tafadhali tuletee pesa kabla ija expire. Kumaanisha wanajua ya kwamba yuko na pesa ameweka mahali.
Those were clips or what? I don't think I saw that.
They were on media, people saying, tafadhali ile pesa kabla ija expire, tuletee, tuweze kutumia kabla ija expire. Meaning in their heads that there was money that had been put somewhere, that needed to be cleaned and then given out as quickly. So these accusations may be totally unfair to the deputy president. He's a very hardworking man, and I actually admire the way he's a survivor, the way he's been worked hard, the way he's come from nothing to where he's put himself and everything. But these things continue hanging above his head. And I was a witness at when President Obama came to this country. And I don't know whether I should say this on air, but I was a witness when they tried to lock him out of Kasarani. And I asked the diplomats.
Who tried to lock who?
The meeting that was being held. There was a meeting that was trying to lock out the DP out of attending a meeting of President Obama. And it's a long story. I'll give you, I'm writing it in my book. And the question was issues of corruption, issues of graft. So he's got all these things hanging over his head, even to the international community, that he needs to clear. And so this bribing, so-called bribing, giving money to groups and everything, are not helping. And
Okay.
I'm trying to help. Neutral hapa.
Those are your views. He sees it as empowerment. That Dr. Alwale believes that you said there was a function in Kakamega recently. You are empowering the young people.
Yes.
Empowering si mbaya.
Yes.
Tuseme empower, lakini hii going to dish out money, every group you go, unaita watu, unawapatia pesa. It's okay. You're giving money, you're empowering. But the question will always come as a public officer, where is that money coming from? You know what I mean? I mean, you're empowering more than even the American candidates, even Donald Trump. One of the richest people in this country was empowering people. Your money does not seem to run out. Where is it coming from? So, tungepata hiyo clarification, tumalizana na hiyo story, ideology and other things.
Maybe we can get clarification from Senator Matangi. Empowerment, bribery, bribing. That's where we are now. We are caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yes, Wahiga, the matter of the usefulness and presence and legality of money or financing in campaigns is that's a universal tenet. It's there. It's in every campaign, wherever you're campaigning. And indeed, that's why there are laws on campaign financing. So can we start from there, Wahiga, that we are guilty in a big way once more, even as we discussed the first issue. Because if you ask yourself, where around do we have laws, regulations, protocols, or even enforcement or scrutiny of campaign financing? Nowhere. And so it doesn't matter how much you raise. During the pre-election period, you find that IEBC will come up with numbers, announce them. Parliament has fought over this and that you cannot use so much when you're running for this position. But at the end of the day, that is never enforced. So nobody will... You remember there was this requirement by IEBC just recently that members of parliament, senators, governors, and anybody running for office should open special accounts where you're supposed to credit your campaign finances. But at the end of the day, by the time you're going to an election, who will ask you? Who has ever been asked, actually? Where is your account? Let's scrutinize. So you find that it's really just hot air, for purposes of looking like you're compliant. And so the results that you get from that failure is exactly what you're talking about now, Wahiga. And so two things I believe to distinguish. Funds or money in campaigning will be present, it's present all over. It's how you deploy those funds. I believe on that question of empowerment, whatever you're going to do for youth groups, if you're talking to border guys, how you can empower them to be better traders and so on, it's all there and it's okay. As long as it is done structurally, properly, legally, so that it's going to help those people. what becomes a mess, from my experience, even when I'm campaigning, is when you carry money around to go and dish out to people, you know, in rallies and so on. And one, it becomes a source of problems, like you have said, in violence. Number two, it does not help even those young men. What they do is they just go out there and drink and smoke bangi and buy drugs with that kind of money, because it's easy money. I remember when we were running the by-elections in Kiambaa, it was messy, very messy. I mean, I remember there are some places we would go to and you would find multitudes of people moving from this corner of town in the morning because they hear that this candidate is going to be here, so they collect their dues. Then they move to another one in the evening. They go and collect. In fact, we were doing a rough calculation, and we're seeing like towards the last days
of the Kiambaa by-election.
Yes, it was possible for a person to move from one town to another, and by the evening, you have collected 10,000.
10,000 bob.
Yes.
Meaning all political players were complicit. So this empowerment
so this I'm telling you that you know, once you look at it through that prism, then you get to realize that at the end of the day, one, it is not only a waste, it is destructive to those young men. At the end of that process, in the evening, you find all the bars are full, all the young men are drunk. The following day, they cannot do anything, and that becomes a norm in campaigning. So I think at the end of the day, what we would have to do is ask IEBC, our enforcement, to ensure that they walk the talk, ensure that people are held responsible. Then lastly is on this question of mobilization of the funds themselves. You know, people have different capacities to mobilize funds. And you remember during the contest between Clinton and Obama, it boiled down a lot towards the last days as to who would be able to mobilize campaign funds better and more than the other one, because it's a necessity. That money should go to advertising, it should go to compensation of your people, and finally on the efficiency of how you do your campaign. So I believe at the end of the day that we cannot wholly condemn Mutua or Ruto or another one just on the principle that they're able to mobilize funds, you know, quickly. They could mobilize funds and be able to use them in the campaign. That cannot be, you know, a paradigm with which to condemn somebody that you had 10 million and where I had 5. When it comes to the question of is your source of funds dubious, there are mechanisms of establishing that your funds are dubious. And once you establish that they're dubious, take action, you know, on funds that have been established to be dubious. You get what I mean?
Okay.
Because such that we are a nation that gets to say things and do them, you know, and we don't eternally continue to condemn Waihiga that we suspect you are a thief and whatever, and yet you know that Waihiga is stealing from. Deal with finality with Waihiga from wherever he is stealing from, and close it from there. You get what I mean? I mean, close the tap and make him be responsible at the end of the day. Okay. So
you used me just as an example.
Yes, no, I'm just using you as an example. Okay. So that we can get things done.
Okay. Dr. Odhiambo, I need to take a break, but let me allow you to put a word in on this. Of course, you've stated that you are looking for a different political seat next year. When you visit groups, at the end of it all, do they ask you for something for empowerment? Some are calling it a bribe here. And how do you navigate that? Because it seems to be the setup of our political system, and whether it's what caused the fracas yesterday in Kisumu or not, it's a bigger question about how we do politics in this country.
Waigwa, no, I work in an office currently which is charged with the responsibility of empowering the youth, women, persons with disability, and the elderly socioeconomically. So we work with them, we train them, we coach them to be able to do and sustain their small businesses, and we give them funds in groups through NGAF. But what is sinister about this funding is that there must be a group that satisfies certain conditions, and this money is available on an yearly basis to all these groups that qualify. Now, the case of empowerment we cannot dispute. But two things stand out here from my earlier talk and the response of my colleague, Dr. Aluale. He clearly said that there was money for logistics of the campaigns, which must be detached from the empowerment component of it. And so when you are asking me whether when I meet these groups, I give them some money, like one of our speakers had alluded to, when we call people to a sitting or we call them to meet us, most of the time what I have seen, even myself given all these others, we give them what we call some transport allowance or maybe something that they can drink, some refreshment. And that is all. But this component of empowerment, what I wonder, even as we talk about it, from whatever source, how come it is only a few people that are being selected by an aspirant? Why is this empowerment not universal to everybody else, even those who did not attend this rally or those who have not been selected by the aspirants? What I'm saying is, when we are talking about an empowerment fund, whether it is run by an individual, an NGO, or the government of Kenya, like the one I'm talking about of NGAP, Uwezo, and the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and the Women Enterprise Fund, there is a consistency, and the sustainability question of it cannot be ignored, and the openness of the fund to everybody who can access it. Of course, having satisfied certain conditions. Because if you told me today, I will tell you that the truth is, if you followed, even if you went back to Kisumu, you will find that not all those mamambogas that are in Kisumu and the environs, and even those who are not in Kisumu town, but are in the smaller villages where the DP did not go, you may find that they never found it. And that now makes us wonder, is it only available to those who attend these rallies or those who are pro him? And that's why I would like to say, if this funding is actually meant to empower our people wherever they are in Kenya, then the DP is not just in office today. He's been in this position since about 10 years ago. And we have not seen this kind of thing going on from his own personal money or docket. What has happened? Why now? And this brings the entire answer to a way of enticing people and would them into believing that he will be giving them this money every day to vote him, which is not the truth.
Okay.
And I think we need to empower our people in a consistent manner and in a regular manner and in a sustainable manner that can make our people grow.
Okay.
But just coming sporadically with money, because I'm coming to a rally, then I give people money there. To me, that is, if you don't want to call it bribery, then call it luring or enticing. Like when you go to the lake, they say, allow me to say French at this juncture, that kidwarorech tonya kimigio niambo. It is a matter of giving the fish the worms so that they come out of the water, so that they get into the hook. That is how I see it.
Okay, well noted. I said I need to take a break, but Dr. Halwale, I'll give you 30 seconds. Is there a different way to do it? That's what she's asking. This, like in Kakamega, did you reach everyone with your empowerment? And
no, you cannot.
Give me a short answer, because we're taking a break.
Yeah, you cannot reach everyone, and Pamela knows this. What we are doing is we are practically speaking to the bottom-up economic model. And there is a rider where there's a rider where we tell the recipients that whereas this is from personal effort, but should we form the next government, then there will be legislation that will make it possible for us to create a fund that will then be serving the same purpose that we are driving the bottom-up model on. I can excuse Pamela, and I don't know why Mutua is also thinking the same. The issue of empowerment is what elected leaders do every day.
Well, why are you accusing me? I only said that it should have started 10 years ago.
Okay. Dr. Odhiambo, let him respond. We are actually due for that break.
It is what elected leaders do every day. In Luoland, for example, and they're my neighbors, and I've worked with them for 5 years in in NASA, they do not have to fight for empowerment of the voter because there's only one vote in Luoland. Raila's vote, once you work for it and you get it, he gives you the nomination certificate and you have won the election. But in other corners of the country, elected leaders have to sweat for it. You empower people. People come in the home in the morning, they want school fees. That is called empowerment. People come in the office because their Juakali is staggering. That's called empowerment. But they don't have to do it in their part of the world because Raila's vote, Raila's word, is final. And I understand that very well. Forgive us for this. And the issue which my brother Alfred has raised about voter bribery. Alfred, voter bribery. Voter bribery is also provided for in the law. The law is very clear that you cannot bribe voters. When is it called voter bribery? It is during the election period,
so
which is defined in Kenya. During that time, if you treat voters, if you transport voters, if you feed them, that is voter bribery. But today, 9 months away from the general election, how would empowerment amount to voter bribery? Go and read the Elections Act again and again for you to distinguish empowerment from voter bribery.
I'm going to have to stop it there. I know he wants to respond, but let's take that break. We've been talking about it for some time. My goodness, what a discussion we're having this morning. State of the nation. We take a break. When we come back, I want us to switch gears. Front page of the Standard is telling us 1.7 million Kenyans use Fuliza daily. Are we a country living on loans? What is that all about with an election coming up in the next 9 months? Lots of concerns that Kenyans pushed against the wall and politicians keen to do anything to get votes as well. But young people in trouble, in a nutshell. We're going to talk about that when we come back as well. You're watching Daybreak. Stay with us. We'll be right back.